Stocks Market Minute for Wednesday, October 28th. I'm looking at the S&P 500. The Fed meeting came out about 35 minutes ago, and it had rallied right up to that point and immediately started selling right after that. Because what the Fed did during the announcement was it didn't really tip its hand either way. It said no hikes today, which was only a 3% chance to begin with, but it did not take off the table any potential rate hikes in December, and we're playing the same old game that we played back in September where nobody knows what is going on. Here was the day that we had the Fed meeting announcement back in September. Again, we ran up into the Fed announcement and then it sold after that, and you can see the result of that was, obviously, more than a 100-point move down to retest the lows in August. And so are we going to see the same thing here? Well, so far with, about an hour and a half to go to trade in the market, so far we have a very tall tail on this candlestick. Now, they can reverse. We have definitely seen the initial move reverse and go back all the way, but right now the price action looks really, really heavy. So I'm thinking at this point that we may have seen the highs for the day. The other thing that we're running into is a couple of things now. Now, first of all, when we have an area like this is actually a very rare occurrence where we have markets essentially going nowhere for a number of months. But when it does this, it creates what's called a balance point. So this the day traders know all about this sort of stuff. They use market profile. This creates these balance points up here, and you can think of this as sort of home. So once the price gets used to being in this home, this generates a significant amount of support and resistance, regardless of which way depending on which way the price breaks out of this home, whether it goes to the upside or whether it goes to the downside, which is what it did. So once it leaves home, it eventually wants to go back home, but the first time it tries to go back home, you can think of, some parents that just got rid of their 22-year-old son and thinking, oh, okay, maybe this is it. And then he spends a couple of weeks out there trying to get a job and tries to come home. Well, no, get out there and get a job. This is the same kind of thing here, is that the price wants to go home. And it's going to have a difficult time, I think, getting above that 2100 level, if it even gets that far. So what we might see is this sort of move into sort of a wide, sloppy movement here. This is sort of what I've anticipated. And actually, there is some precedent for this. This is very, very close to the 2011 move that we had. And not to say that lightning is going to strike twice. I mean, typically we do not see patterns repeat like this, but this is very eerily similar to what we had as we came screaming out of this sideways pattern. Well, first of all, notice how sideways that this pattern was back here in 2011. Almost a carbon copy of what we saw here in 2015, 4 years later. And then we got a bit more volatility during this move, and we actually had the undercut a little bit deeper for that, so that was a better move. But notice how this swing was extraordinarily strong and ended up on this parabolic note. Now, what happened after this was this gorgeous triangle pattern. Okay, a consolidation pattern like this does not necessarily have to break to the upside. In this case, it actually broke to the downside, came right to the edge of the cliff at the 61.8% fib, and then found support, and then off it went on its way into the next quiet and trending market rally. Okay, so I think there's a good chance that we form something similar to this. It may not look exactly the same, but functionally, I think it'll do the same thing. There's no bets as to whether this will occur. Again, we don't know what's going to happen from here. We don't know whether or not we're going to consolidate and then break higher from here, which means that we're going to challenge the all-time highs, or whether we're going to break lower from here, in which case a bear market, transitioning into a bear market and doing a replay of 2007 could actually be in play. So what happens over the next month is going to be extremely interesting, to say the least, because it's going to set the tone for the end of this year and 2016. Okay, guys, that's it for today's Market Minute. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you tomorrow.